Welcome everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful week thus far and staying active out there, even with all this COVID virus activity still keeping us at home and keeping us away from our typical social environment that I'm sure everyone misses. So the purpose of this series that we are streaming live is to encourage folks, help inspire the rest of the producers across the company and country to really just get outside the box. We're going to be teaching you some key ways to not just sustain your business, but to also grow it, grab market share, and really, once again, take things to the next level. Hopefully through this series we're going to be able to teach you the how, the why, the where, the what, pretty much all the key questions that I'm sure y'all are gonna have, and you'll be able to take this information to bring value to your own business, your referral network, referral partners, and your clients. So navigating this environment, I can tell you it's certainly a challenge. There's no doubt about that, right? The question that really resonates, I think, for everyone, including myself, was how am I going to handle this, right? Am I going to just hope things go back to the way that they were pre-COVID-19? You know, this is one of those major historical events. People are talking, you know, pre-9/11, post-9/11, for us here in New Orleans, pre-Katrina, post-Katrina, right? So this is another sort of milestone, and I think you know, whether you're going to just kind of hide and wait for this to pass and go back to how you always had done business, or if you're going to actually embrace it, overcome, adapt, you know, face the challenge, you know, headstrong and just go after it, right? I think many folks, you know, within the organization, just knowing what our corporate culture is, meeting all of you guys on an annual basis, sometimes more regularly, you know, being friends and colleagues and just staying in touch. I know most of you have the same sort of way that you're going to lean towards, which is the answer of the question is how you're going to handle it. It's the second part, right? It's going to say we want to figure out how we can embrace, overcome, and adapt. It was really nice to see James hop on his little, I guess, teaser this morning and just, you know, help encourage you folks to hop on this live feed today. But fear is what he brought up, right? And I think that is the biggest thing that everyone has to overcome in order to get beyond what is this new environment that we're all facing. Including myself, I can tell you that fear was a factor, right? Before I actually did my live stream event and you know, tried to really embrace what we have going on. I thought, okay, hey, it might not last very long, but I started to see more and more that it was here to stay. We need to figure out how to get through this. I do want to preface that, you know, this 5-part series that I am doing, I'm not an expert at any of this, right? You know, and the higher ups did ask me to hop on here and share some of what I've been doing. But what I think is the key takeaway from this, like, I didn't take public speaking classes. I'm not, you know, trained formally to get on and be a host and do these live videos. But what I can say is if I can do it and I don't have the training, there's no reason why everyone else here can't do it as well, right? It's that simple. The other thing that really, you know, pushed me into this learning more about it, just kind of trying to master it as best as I can, is that if I don't do it, my competitors will, and they're going to start becoming more relevant than I am in my market. I know. Look, I know everyone on this call. You've probably worked very hard to gain the market share and become relevant in your environment, and everything that you've done to this particular point in time has positioned you where you are. And to actually have something like this take that market share away from you is certainly something that that I'm sure is not something you want to let something like this little pandemic go ahead and affect you. So uh, what I like to do is, touch more about that fear throughout the cast here, the live cast, and once we kind of get things kicked off, each week we're going to have a guest. This particular week we have Mike Merriam, and I'm sorry here if we've got a little something seems to be bouncing around with his feed, but let me see if I can get this fixed. Anyhow, so Mike.
I hear you fine, Alex. You sound loud and clear to me.
All right. Well, look, this week's guest is Mike Merriam. Some of you do know him. You have the pleasure to, like myself, to work with him on a regular basis through the coaching program. This is something that I've been inspired. I had the idea prior to coaching, and I've been personally toying with the idea of live feeds, video, just getting some different content out there to my referral base and to my client base. And so for me, it was fitting to invite Mike on here, and I want to introduce him as our first guest because he kind of helped pave the way and push me to get outside my comfort zone. So.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for the intro. And let me just say that the only people that like doing video on a regular basis are crazy people. Most people don't like it. Most people don't like the way they look, the way they sound. They don't want to stand in front of a camera and speak. They're uncomfortable. Let's just get that out of the way. You're not alone if you feel fear around this, right? But the question becomes, will you allow fear to prevent doing something that you absolutely must do, not only to take market share in your business, but to not take a step backwards. And so we talked a lot in the coaching program about now being the greatest opportunity in the history of the mortgage industry to go out and take market share. And so the question you have to ask yourself is who will I choose to be in this moment? Will I choose to be fearful of going on camera, and you know what? That's okay. A lot of people are. But will you choose to allow that fear to prevent you from actually doing it? Right? We all know the cliche. Courage is acting despite fear. Courage is not the lack of fear. It's moving forward and acting in the face of fear, despite the fear. Right. And so that's really what it boils down to. And Alex, a lot of overcoming fear can be alleviated and mitigated through proper preparation. If you know what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, how you're going to say it.
Hold on for me real quick, and look, as usual, give me 1 sec here.
Okay.
All right, so sound is messed up. So give me 1 second, folks. I'm trying to get this sorted out. Desktop audio.
Hang in there. Don't go away because all the good stuff's coming soon.
That's right. Hello? Hey, Dawson. It's through the Surface Pro. All right, let me see how to do that. All right, how do we sound now? Is that Mike? Can you talk on your end and?
Yep, testing, sound check, testing 1, 2, 3. How's that sound?
It's still coming through the computer for some reason, even though my headphones are set up. All right, Mike, let's try one more time.
Okay. How's that coming through? Testing 1, 2, 3.
It works?
All right.
We good?
Are we good?
Mike, yeah, if you want to keep talking.
All right, so hey, yeah, Alex, you know what's really cool? Yeah, I can keep talking. You know what's really cool is that basically the nightmare scenario just happened. You get on a live call and things screw up. It wasn't too bad, right? We're still here. Maybe 80% of the crowd dropped off, but we'll edit it.
Yeah, hold on. All right, folks, bear with us. Apologies for the technical difficulty. Let me get some wired headphones. I'll be right back. All right, Mike, let's try it out one more time.
All right, buddy. I'm still here.
Still going through my...
Hey, maybe we want to get these tech issues fixed and reschedule. I don't know. I mean, I'm cool to hang and do this. I'm a little worried we're going to lose all the live stream audience.
Okay, I think I might have. I think I may have fixed it.
Okay.
All right, let's.
How's that coming through?
It's coming through my headphones now, so I think we're all good.
Okay.
Let's see if we get a message from everyone that says that it's. Is it good? Is it echoing?
I don't hear any echoing.
Anyone still there?
I certainly hope.
Still out there?
I certainly hope so.
We'll edit it out, man. Well, the replay will be a little smoother, but that's okay. Look, this stuff happens in live calls, and it's okay, right? It's the way life works. We don't have to be perfect. We're human beings. So some of this stuff, oftentimes when things go wrong on live calls or when you're running these Zoom meetings and doing this video stuff, it's an opportunity to make an authentic human connection with people because it's not rehearsed and polished and just, ultra uber professional. It's, hey, I'm a real person and stuff goes wrong on occasion.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you, and I think what you hit the nail on the head is It's all about being genuine, right? That was one of my fears really early on in the process was, look, this has to be super polished. I want it to be, nice and just clearly everyone wants it to be organized, right? That's no doubt about that. And you're going to have to make sure that you've got the appropriate content to be able to share with folks and have some type of flow. I think you and I got on ahead of time, and we both like to talk, right? So it's one of those things where making sure that you have some specific key points that you want to hit, that you're concise, you're clear with your delivery on what message you want to get across, and you just don't talk in circles. I think that's a really big piece and proponent of it, aside from trying to make it just super duper professional, right? And it's we're not master technicians for audio and video, but we want it to be and come across at least as polished as it can be. So the genuine nature of the call, when mistakes do happen and you fumble over some words and all that, hey, look, that shows other folks that you are human, and I think that's really the biggest connection that people are missing is that human connection and interaction, and this live streaming gives you that to a wide and vast audience all in one fell swoop, and look, since there's not a lot of people doing it, you're gonna stand out from the crowd. You're gonna be relevant.
Yeah, well said. Let's talk a little bit, Alex, about jumping in and actually video a live Zoom call where you've got potential referral sources on the call and you're making a presentation to them, right? So the first one is obviously what we've talked about so far. Get over the fear, or don't get over the fear, but have enough courage to act despite the fear, right? How can you mitigate that? By being prepared. What does being prepared mean? Well, have a plan, have it written out exactly what you're going to do. What's your content? What are you going to talk about? And like Alex just said, don't worry if your content isn't perfect, if it's not polished, if it's not uber professional. You just have to educate people and facilitate a conversation and be a human being, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if your kid walks through the background or if your dog barks. Everyone's working from home right now, right? It's okay. We're human beings. And that's the beauty of it, is it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's what holds most people back, right? But just say, hey, I'm going to deliver 10 minutes of content. I'm going to open up to a Q&A. And the biggest thing, Alex, for getting over fear and also for executing on a high level is know what you're going to do in the inevitability that something goes wrong. So say to yourself, what will I do if somebody asks me a question I don't know the answer to? I don't want to be outed as being inexperienced. I don't want to be outed as not knowing what the heck I'm talking about. So what will I do if somebody asks me something I don't know the answer to? Right? And if you address that ahead of time and have a plan where you just say, hey, if somebody asks me a question and I don't know because I'm a little green, be like, hey, you know what? Guidelines are changing all the time. Why don't I take that offline? I'll circle up and follow up with you after the call. Anybody else have a question? Right? Just have a plan for addressing it so you're not caught off guard. And that'll go a long way to alleviate the fear. Second step is the setup, right? What do you need? How are you going to invite people? How are you going to schedule the meeting and do your settings? We'll talk a little bit about that on the call. The third step is, how are you going to invite people? What are you going to do to make sure people get the invitation, accept it, and then encourage them to share with others to get as many people as possible on the call? Next is call execution. When you meet, make sure you execute your plan. Make sure you give people a clear call to action. Tell them to bring their scenarios to the call. Tell them to bring their questions to the call. Encourage them to share others. And most importantly, let them know what comes next. Let them know how you intend to follow up and how they can easily reach you afterwards, right? Call them to action. Have something that you're asking them to do and make it very simple. And the final step, Alex, is follow up. How will you follow up with these people to make sure that A, they're on your next call and they're continuing to invite others, so your list of attendees grows with each week, but also how you follow up with them to make sure that you're actually doing business and developing a relationship with them. So I think those are the 5 parts: fear, setup, invitation, execution, follow up. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And Mike, I think for a lot of folks, right, because that sounds super duper structured, people are going to look. I know before I did my first call, that like having all of that organized and making sure that I hit all of those points, like that was, I got in my own head for a little bit, no doubt about it, to where I was like, man, like if I don't hit on all those points and I don't, just knock it out the park, like I'm gonna embarrass myself and this is gonna be the worst. The cool part is that, guess what? Like if you're doing a live video, you only see really yourself, and then you're seeing other people coming in and watching you, but you don't see their reactions. I mean, it doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, the fact that you're actually doing it, that is really the differentiating factor, because I don't know a lot of my competitors that are out there doing it right now. So the fact that I'm doing that right now to just really keep myself in front of folks and do what we're constantly trying to do, which is staying top of mind and picking up new referral sources. I mean, I think part of getting this all going, there's so many different types of methods to do this, right? In terms of the video, so like whether you're doing the Facebook live video, whether you're doing an Instagram live video, whether you're doing a Zoom call, whether you're doing a Skype call, right? So as far as some of the platforms go, Mike, I know you really had spoke on a couple of the coaching calls about some different user-friendly software programs that we could use in order to get that video content. Did you mind touching on just a couple of those particular different apps and what have you to be able to use out there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, look, everybody's cell phone comes with a pretty great video camera right now. Problem with those is the files can be too big. One of the benefits of those is it encourages you to be brief, right? So the shorter the video, the smaller the file, you can share that around. That's a good thing. Be brief. Brevity's key. Nobody wants to listen to anybody bloviate forever and repeat themselves 5 times over, but in a different way each time, right? Because they're not sure they've made their point. People get the point. You only have to make it once. It's difficult when you're not getting feedback and you're speaking one way to the camera. So you just have to understand, say it once, people will get the point. How many more ways can I say that, right? So the second thing, Alex, is two platforms I think are the best. And here's the thing. I like these platforms, and those platforms are BombBomb and Zoom, right? But just because I like those platforms doesn't mean they're going to be right for you. The real key is don't allow things like what platform do I use, what software do I use, what lighting, what microphone, like you go down this rabbit hole. Don't let that become a roadblock for moving forward, right? This is what we do. We get into this planning phase, into this strategic phase, and we tell ourselves, well, I have to address all of these questions before I move forward. I've got to have all these boxes checked before I move forward. And that becomes our excuse to not move forward. Well, I'm not ready, right? So it doesn't really matter what platform you're using. If you have a camera and a microphone, you're good to go to start making a video. Just start out saying hello to people. Start out making a video to somebody that you know. I could send one to Alex. Hey, Alex, it's Mike here. I'm making my first BombBomb video. I was thinking about you. What do you think? Do I look weird? Do I look funny? Do I sound like an idiot? Hey, man, see you soon. Want to have a beer tomorrow? Oh, I guess not, since we're saying. Anyway, gotta go. Got work to do, right? Just be playful. Play around with it. Send a video to someone you know. And Alex, here's the real key, man, regardless of what platform you're using, is if it's a video where you're recording one way and then sending it to people, don't watch it back. If you watch it back, you will not hit send, or you'll record it 1,700 times and then give up, because it's never, ever going to be perfect. You're never going to look the way you want to look or sound the way you want to sound. But here's the thing. Everybody knows the way you look and you sound.
Right.
The difference is you'll go and you'll meet with somebody face to face and talk to them. And you're not embarrassed to do that. You don't have a problem doing that. Well, one of the big reasons is you're not looking at yourself, right? You can't see yourself. You can't see your mannerisms and your jacked up teeth and your messed up hair, right? You can't see all that. The other person sees it. They know what you look like and sound like. You just don't. So when you watch a video of yourself, you're like, oh my God, who is this person? Right? So the trick is don't watch it back. Shoot it and send it. Don't worry about it being perfect.
Absolutely. So I personally will touch on a few things that I've personally been doing that I feel has been effective for me. Over the next consecutive calls, we're going to bring on some additional guests, and I think that they've been taking this particular, I guess, idea and this new notion of how we should be participating out in the world right now with online presence and just, again, staying relevant to folks. So we're going to have some other guests that are going to talk about what's been working for them. So there's a lot of different ways to get this video content out there and to do these live calls. Particularly the three things that have worked for me. I've been doing some regular Zoom calls, and there's two types that I've personally been doing. To Mike's point, at first I was fearful of just doing it, and I just set it up, and that's what I'm going to encourage everyone else on this call to do. If you set it up, if you post it on social media that, hey, I'm going to have my first live call next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central, guess what? You've now set yourself an appointment. You can't back out of it, right? It's out there in the ether, and people are going to expect you to come on board. So that's something that I did that pushed me to just get that first live call going. Okay, so that started the process for me. But the three types that I've been doing is I've been doing a Zoom call that's been not business related at all, but it's been business related in the sense that, guess what? We're all social people. Before all this, we used to do, social hours and events and mixers and, get in front of our referral partners and what have you. So this particular call that I put together works on two fronts for me. Number one, I wanted to invite all the referral partners to come out, and what we normally do is socialize, do a social hour. Well, I invited folks to come out, just hang out, just talk about life, figure out what's going on, catching up with folks, people kind of joking around, and at the same token, we're a very heavy service industry related state and city, right? So New Orleans, we're predominant in terms of the service industry folks, and they've been heavily affected by everything going on. One of the things I thought would be nice is, okay, social hour, what can we do besides just all get on and look at each other and have awkward silences and maybe crack a couple jokes and it be very short-lived. I decided, okay, how can I enhance this, bring some value, bring some excitement around the event, have it changing, have some content in there, and also hopefully gain a little just natural type of exposure and marketing through this event. So we are doing every Thursday at 5 p.m. It's about an hour and a half long. The first one we did was about 4 weeks ago. We invited a local bartender to come on. They set up their video. They gave a presentation on a cocktail that was their signature cocktail. It was awesome. It was fun to watch. And then we popped up their Venmo handle, and we encouraged all the people, hey, if you enjoyed the presentation and the cocktail, these folks, their business has been completely shut off. Tips are appreciated. They're not, they're definitely not required, but everyone, tip these folks. We gave them like $50 to show up, and they were so appreciative. So there's been now word of mouth of this, and people had a lot of fun. They followed along, made the cocktails, and we've also encouraged, to Mike's point, as far as like call to action. So we have a follow-up email. We ask if there's any ways that they feel it can be improved, number one. Number two, we're also asking them to participate and provide nominations of their favorite bartenders and whomever else they'd want to bring on the next call. We give away a $50 gift card to a local restaurant, once again, to support the local businesses. And so all the participants who just show up to the Zoom happy hour or social hour, they're going to be entered into a drawing that's given away at the end of the social hour, again, to encourage folks to kind of hang out and stick with us for a little bit and get everyone's personalities out there a little bit more. And then last week, we actually invited a musician as well to just add into, and they played a couple songs. It was a guy who was, he's a local musician. He was on American Idol. Long story short, it's been growing and expanding. That's how we started the first one. I think it was a tremendous success. We had, even the first one only had like 13 or 14 people. I still think it was hugely successful. The one we did last week had about 30 people that has showed up, and at one given time, probably 25 or so, 22 to 25 people at a given time. But again, so it's been growing each week, and that's something that's really been a huge help. And people are inviting their they're inviting their friends and coworkers that I just tell them to invite them. It's an open invite, and people show up that I would have never been in front of otherwise. So I've had a huge success with that. Mike, you got any feedback?
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. It's thinking outside the box. You're helping your local economy, your service workers, food and beverage people. So, covering multiple bases at the same time, and also taking the pressure off yourself, because it's social, but there's still an undertone of business, and there's still some relationship building going on there. So I think that's really cool, and it's really great. The only thing I would say is, if you're watching this and you're saying to yourself, well, I don't have these resources, or I don't think I could get 13 people to show up to the call, that's okay too. I mean, there's people who, on their very first Zoom call they did, had one agent show up, and they were like, oh my gosh, nightmare scenario, one agent, this is embarrassing. But it turns out they had like a really great 45-minute conversation with the person, and ended up doing business with the person and have a new agent. So it doesn't matter if one person shows up, if 15 people show up, or if 50 people show up. If you just get started and make a human connection, that's what people are craving right now. And especially realtors. You almost, I say this in my coaching program, it's a bit tongue in cheek, right? But you almost have to treat realtors like they're children. What they are desperate for right now is somebody to take them by the hand, calm them down, educate them, and then tell them what to do, right? Take them by the hand, calm them down. Everything's going to be okay. Let me educate you, tell you what's really going on. Because let me tell you, Alex, there's so much misinformation all over social media right now from loan officers posting all sorts of stuff and opinions. So cutting through all that noise and educating them, they're craving real information. And then tell them what to do. Say, hey, bring me all your scenarios. Show up to next week's call. Do this, do that. You and I, we work together now. Don't be afraid to be that person. These Zoom platforms, these online meeting platforms, they give you the ability to flip the script. For decades, we as loan officers have to go knock on doors and get real estate agents to agree to work with us. Well, people that are doing these Zoom meetings now, not professionals, not people who are used to presenting online, loan officers who just decided to be courageous and pivot and do something different, and they're on their second, third, fourth Zoom meeting in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. They're now getting 30, 40, 50 agents on the call. The agents are coming to them. Agents that they don't even know are coming to the call because other agents shared the link with them, and they're actually sending deals. So there's a fellow in your organization, I think you're going to get to him at a later date, but he had an agent literally who he doesn't even know email him and say, hey, great call today. Here's 2 purchases I need you to do for me. I mean, it totally is a 180 from the way it used to be. And so what I think people need to understand, Alex, and this is really the key takeaway, is that the conversion rate of prospecting to that conversion rate of going out and having a cold meeting with somebody, a first meeting, to getting that first referral, that rate is skyrocketing. It's way easier now through these platforms.
Absolutely. Well, part of that is in my opinion that I've seen is that a lot of my competitors, they're not out there and staying in front of people, so they're not staying top of mind. Before, where it was much easier to schedule a coffee appointment, lunch appointment, show up at an event and bombard folks and and be in front of them. And like now it's ripe for the taking. They're not getting the engagement that they usually have, which brings me kind of to one of my other points of where I've had success. And again, there's going to be different ways to approach this, but I've been doing this regularly. I've started targeting brokers in particular, because guess what? Now all of their sales meetings on a weekly basis that they used to have in person, and they're meeting with all of their folks. They're discussing, current events and new changes, and trying to bring them education, all that. Well, guess what? They need content now as well. And one of the things that's so uncertain is the landscape of our world, right? Mortgages. So you can go after these particular brokers, and I say brokers because they're going to bring you into the fold. They're going to, this past Wednesday, which was yesterday, I had a call with 60 realtors, okay? And I didn't set it up. That was their weekly sales meeting, right? So I was just able to get invited on and share some insight as to what's been happening over the past 30 to 45 days. What's happening with tightening of restrictions. Leave it open-ended. I will point out as well, just because for some of you folks who I've been seeing some emails coming through, up at the top here, where is it? Right here. You've got live stream at linkloan.com. As we sort of get to the end of this, we're going to want to answer some questions. There was a few folks that sent some questions in on the front end that we'll get to. But if you have any that you want us to address on this call before we hop off, please send the email to livestream at linkloan, and we'll try to get those answered. So getting back to my brokerage approach, right, is that if you have the capability to reach out to these brokers, number one, they're not as busy as before, so you're going to more easily reach them. That's what I found. You're going to more easily reach them, number one. Number two, you're going to be able to get a person that is starving for information and wanting to share it with all of their referral partners. When I get on those calls, I kind of share a little bit what's going on, give them the confidence that Mike is suggesting, willing to hold their hand. Look, they're going to send all my information out. I pop it up on the Zoom call and tell them, look, if you have any scenarios that you'd like to bring to me, I've been saving deals that other lenders are denying. We're still closing our loan transactions in 21 to 30 days. And we're not just straight up turning people away because of overlays. And I think that's something that's very encouraging to folks, because they're hearing a lot of other things flying all over the place, misinformation, as Mike mentioned, and you're able to get in there and say, look, we're local, we're here, bring us those scenarios, let us get you to the closing table, don't let this affect your life. And so that's something that the second type of streaming that I've been doing is those Zoom calls. And then the last one is that I do want to touch on. I know we're getting here to the point where we're going to answer some questions, but the other avenues of live feeds, Facebook Live and Instagram Live. This is where I've personally been in touch with several agents that I know have a strong social media presence, and I've specifically targeted them to where I know they're active on these particular types of promoting their own business, but they're also trying to give content and information. So I reach out to them and say, hey, would you want to have a mortgage professional? I'm happy to come on and talk about what's going on. So I basically tap into what they're doing already. I hop on a live call with them on their Facebook feed or Instagram feed, and that's also been a huge success, and it's been folks that I've never done business with before. But I've been able to give them something of value that they're looking for right now, and that's opened up the doors to a relationship. They started conversing with me more. Hey, what about, can you look at this? Can you check out this scenario? What do you think about this? And so that's been something that's been another, those 3 points is what I wanted to touch on for me personally that I've been doing that I've seen success with.
Yeah, well said. And again, Alex, you wouldn't have any of this success if you didn't just get out there and do it. And so whatever you have to do to just put yourself on camera and hit play and start talking, that's what you need to do. Just eliminate the roadblocks.
So I got a nice statistic here that I'd like to share with the group. So yeah, they had a National Association of Realtors survey where they surveyed 2,500 realtors, and 57% of them said that they actually never did any type of video for their communications, right? So again, there's a lot of folks out there that don't know how to do this. That's another way you can bring value, right? If you start to get at least your feet wet with this and figure it out, right? It's something where that's your value that you can add. Help them get outside of their comfort zone. You know, push them to take action to help grow their business. And that's going to be another opportunity for you to really stand out from the crowd. So those were, at least for the first call, I think those were some key points that I wanted to hit on. I'm sure we'll have some follow-up information that we will be able to email out to the group. Again, live stream, if you have questions, we'll be able to share some potentially some content, some things that we've been doing as far as some more detail or more depth about like what our social hour calls look like. We send out, you know, the spotlight bartender. We give them like a sheet each week of like the ingredients that are going to be used for this particular cocktail, the name of the cocktail. We're just trying to create a little buzz behind it, and then if people want to follow along, create the cocktail during the social hour, they'll know what ingredients go in it. So that's been pretty nice, and we're doing like a regular post with that each week. So that's the first piece. Now the questions that came in, one of them really I think is great for the first call, because the question was from Carrie and Carrie Tennis, and so she was asking what's some basic affordable gear that you can purchase and get yourself set up to start, you know, streaming these particular videos. I pretty much looked up I have a bunch of gear, and I'm not gonna be able to show it to y'all because, you know, twisting my camera all around, but everything that I purchased was all under 200 bucks, right? And you don't even need all of it, but it's definitely something that I think is gonna really help you get started. There's basically a ring light and tripod for like your smartphone, and see if you can see that in here. So ring light right here, you got a little area to clamp your smartphone into, and this just kind of plugs into a USB on the other side. It just gives you some good lighting, which is called key light, okay, because you want to make sure your lighting is pretty decent for these calls. And the key light is going to be, you know, coming essentially at you, right, is what the key light is. So you got to look and see where your setup is and what the key light's going to do. That's good. That's something that provides stability, provides the lighting, and it's like you can buy one of those for like 30 bucks, 30 to 50 bucks. It's really not that bad. The other thing too is some type of Mike, you might know this better, is a lavalier mic. It's basically
yeah, yep.
So
lavalier, tomato.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
So that's another one. I'm using my earbuds in this particular case, and my computer sound. So I don't even have one. But the lavalier mic is going to be like either one that can plug in, can clip on right here, you know, to your shirt or what have you, and usually is going to provide more crisp sound. And sometimes they're corded and have just the mic essentially dangling down right here by your face. The other thing is which I purchased actually for another reason, and I'm actually, you know, using it for this purpose, is like a photo portrait lighting setup. Again, it sounds big, expensive, and fancy. It's not. It's like 40 bucks, 40 to 50 bucks on Amazon, and it's those umbrellas. Let's see if we can kind of show. So it's one of these deals here. You got like the umbrella, the stand, and the light. And it's not necessary by any means, but again, if you want to kind of get that lighting, and you have the background light, and you've got the key light, it'll help give some depth in your video. Again, these are all things that I learned from 5 weeks ago to today. And then the last thing that I have, which I don't have set up currently, but in the background here. No, it's all right. So we've got a, you can see this black post right here. Well, I have a stand, okay, that connects back here, and you can have different like backdrop cloths that you can put back there. And again, so if you don't have like a permanent area, you can set up essentially a videoing studio. You can set that up really easily. It takes a few minutes to set up, and that way you don't have to worry about like having a back wall that's busy, or I mean, it could be like an open area, open living room, and you just put that backdrop up, and you can take it up and down very easily. So that's about $50 as well for that setup. So like I said, everything all in $200. Those, I think that was a great question, kind of starting off the series, and what you can use to get out there and just do your first one, really. Mike, you got anything on that?
Yeah. Yeah, Alex, I think I have more equipment than I could ever use. Microphones, lights, lavalier mics, like you name it. But here's the thing. It's great to have. You can go as big as you want. You can go as crazy as you want. But if you wait until you get all that set up before just picking up this thing, because this thing has everything in it that you need. It's got one of the world's best cameras. It's got a really good directional microphone, and you just hold it in your hand and say, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Real Estate Agent, it's Mike here. I was going to invite you for coffee, but we can't do that. What do you say we hop on a Zoom call? I'm going to text you a link. I'd love to catch up with you, explain what's going on in the market, and hey, I'm bored. Maybe you're bored. I think it'd be a good idea to meet." Right? If you do that, not perfect, stumbling over words a little bit, but you know how much business you're going to get doing that compared to getting this elaborate setup done and waiting? A lot more, right? Because you're not going to get squat done working on waiting for your elaborate setup. So get the lights, get the microphones, do all those things if you want to really feel good about it and be professional. But you don't need a darn thing other than this baby right here. It's got everything in it you need.
Good point. Good point. I didn't have any of that stuff when I first started, except for I had the stand. It was something that I had purchased because for me to hold it, I wasn't feeling like I was going to be steady with it, and maybe the angle was strange, whatever. But either way, like he said, don't let that stop you. I think that's the biggest takeaway for today is get over your fear. Get out there and try something new. Get outside your comfort zone, because it is going to pay off. I've been getting business from individuals that I have never done business with before, and it's because I've been doing all of these things. And in a time like this, when there is all that uncertainty, I promise you, if it's working for me, there's no reason why it can't work for you in your own markets. So I think that's a good spot to sort of wrap up this first call here, Mike. And if people do have follow-up questions for either myself or Mike, again, you can send those questions out to livestream@linkloan.com. We're excited for the next guest that we have coming up in the consecutive weeks to follow. But we hope you all stay safe out there. Get outside your comfort zone. And grow your business. It's a tremendous opportunity to do so. So hopefully this was helpful for y'all, and we're looking forward to seeing you next time.
Hey, Alex, one more thing in closing, if I might. So one of my great mentors always taught me, never leave the scene of wisdom without taking action. So if anything that was said on this call today was impactful, meaningful, eye-opening, inspiring in any way, my encouragement to you is when we end this call in about 30 seconds, rather than going back to your day right away, opening your email, opening your phone, and getting back to business, carve out 10 minutes for yourself and do something, even if it's the tiniest little action. Do something to put forward your plan to start doing video. Take 10 minutes and do that right now.
Well said. Well said. I think that's great. So again, appreciate y'all for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Mike, you have a wonderful one.
You too. Be well, everyone.